Hello, everybody. Welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster, as we look forward to day one of Royal Ascot 2024. It is always one of the world's great race meetings, 5 days of fantastic racing, thrills and spills, a bit of fashion thrown in, and so on and so forth. And it does look as if we could get some decent weather, at least for the first 3 days, and that's going to make a change after the ridiculous changes in ground we saw last weekend, which didn't do us any favours. I have 2 selections for you free here at Sportsbet on day one, Tuesday, of Royal Ascot. I also have 4 selections for you over at Out in Front. And if you're thinking of signing up and joining us for the duration of the meeting, you can find the link in the description box below this screen. And do have a think about it. It's great value for Royal Ascot and for all the big meetings that are going to be coming up thick and fast in Britain and Ireland through the summer run. Of course, here at Sportsbet as well, I'll be with you for each of the 5 days across Royal Ascot. And if you're finding me for the first time, my tips here are all free. I'm always looking for pretty big priced each way horses. And you press the subscribe button just below the screen, so you'll be informed when I've got some selections for you. It costs absolutely nothing. So I'm going to take you to the first of my 2 selections on Tuesday. It's the Group 1 St James's Palace Stakes. Good to firm, good in places. Only 8 runners, but a fascinating race. Royal Ascot 425. I think we've got a cracking race to look forward to, because we've got the rematch between Charlie Appleby's 2,000 guineas hero, Unbeaten Noble Speech, and the horse that ran second to him at HQ before going on to land the Irish 2,000 guineas, the Richard Hannon trained Rosalian. Now, Notable Speech is officially rated £4 higher. But what we don't know is just how much better he could be, because he's never really got into a proper dogfight and had to pull out all the stops. He beat Rosalian, in my view, fair and square at Newmarket, and he will not be an easy nut to crack. For his part, Rosalian, who travelled so well for so long in the 2,000 guineas, duly got up to beat his talented stablemate Hartem in the Irish equivalent a few weeks later. And if I'm not wrong, Hartem is running later in the week in the Jersey Stakes. Now, Rosalian is a smashing horse, but whether that form is good enough to win here remains to be seen. The only other horse seriously considered in the betting, surprisingly, is Aidan O'Brien's Henry Longfellow. He won all 3 races as a juvenile, including the Group 1 National Stakes at the Curragh over 7 furlongs. But then he was sent off favourite for the French 2,000 guineas. He was only 8th. But I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that those French races can be very stop-start, and it turned into a sprint, and he got shuffled back a bit. Didn't get the best of runs. So it would be really unwise, I think, to suggest he's not as good this season as last. We just don't know yet. He's worth another chance, but he will need to step up if he's going to trouble both Notable Speech and Rosalian. Now, they're betting 14-1 bar the pair, or at least they were last time I looked. And I'm just going to have a look now and check. In fact, it's bigger than that. They're betting 16-1 bar the front 3, which is, well, it's a surprise, really, in a race as good as this. And that includes the French 2,000 guineas winner, who, despite beating Henry Longfellow by over 4 lengths, they just don't want to know it. So it's 16-1. It's called Metropolitan, mainly raced on easy ground. But, you know, sometimes these French horses come here with only soft ground form. But that doesn't mean they can't go on a quicker surface. It's just they've never actually encountered a quicker surface very often, because there's so much soft ground in France. So I wouldn't want to rule him out completely, but obviously he's got it to prove. Whether he should be 3 times the price of Henry Longfellow, I just don't see that. There's another French raider called Darlinghurst, and he's been drifting like a barge over the last 24 hours, to be honest. Really, nobody wants to know him. But even though he's on a 5-timer, he's won his last 4, but all those wins have been at a lower level. More needed, you'd have to say. And another drifter is the talented Al Yanabi, who was quite a few people's fancy for the 2,000 guineas Owen Burrows runner. He'd been second to City of Troy in last season's Dewhurst Stakes. And then he finished as staying on 5th on his seasonal return in the 2,000 guineas. So he may well have just needed it, and that wasn't a bad run. He's twice won on quick ground, good to firm in the past. So that's not an issue, but the bad vibe is a bit of a worry. So if you're any good at maths, you'll probably have figured out that there's only two horses I've not mentioned really in this 8-runner field. And the one I think is very overpriced is the Aidan O'Brien second string, Unquestionable, who is the mount of Wayne Lorden. Now, you don't need me to tell you anything at all about Aidan O'Brien. And he produced a really terrific performance in training, unquestionable to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf on fast ground at Santa Anita in November. And that was after his stablemate, I think it was River of Tiber, was withdrawn late on. He stepped in, stepped up, and put up a terrific display. He loved the fast ground in America. And if I had said to you that in the wake of that Breeders' Cup win, this colt would be a 33-1 shot for the St James's Palace Stakes in June, I think you would have thought I was nuts. But he is, or he was. That's now gone, actually. And I'm not quite sure why he was offered at 33s. Yes, on official figures, he's got £9 to find with notable speech. But he was a shade unlucky to miss out on the Group 2 Railway Stakes at the Curragh last season, caught in the last stride by Bucanero Fuerte. And then he was nearly knocked out, literally. The time after, when he was favourite for the Group 1 Phoenix Stakes, reared up, banged his head on the stalls and apparently ran like he was punch drunk, but still finished fourth in a Group 1. Now after that, he was again a shade unfortunate, beaten only a length by Rosalian, no less, in the Group 1 Jean-Luc Lagardère at Longshot. And that was after he got really lit up in the early stages of the race, running 2 free on easy ground. Now, by all measures, he should probably have faded badly, but he kept going. This is a horse, I think, with a lot of ability, who's underestimated. And as I said, he showed the quick ground in America, what a likeable sort he is when he went on and won there. He did run as if he needed the outing in the Irish 2000 Guineas, his first run this season. He was fourth behind Rosalian. He's got over 6 lengths to make, but Rosalian had already had a run at Newmarket, and they're running on very different ground here. So I think that Unquestionable looks too big. They've already latched onto it. The 33 is gone, but he's 28-1 each way. And that 28-1 is available with many firms now, the vast majority of them. So Unquestionable to spring a big surprise, the outsider of the field in the St James's Palace Stakes at Ascot, the 425. And very quickly, I'll take you on to the second selection, going handicapping straight after the 2.5 mile Ascot Stakes handicap, good to firm, good in places, 20 runners. It's a race that is often dominated by the jumps trainers. And last year it was Nicky Henderson who won the race with a horse with no name. And he doesn't have a runner this year, but Willie Mullins does. And he's won it 3 times in the last 9 renewals. And he saddles a horse, an ex-French flat racer called Mylika, who won over 1.5 miles for his previous connections. There's no better judge than Willie Mullins of a horse. He obviously thinks this horse is more of a stayer. He's already got him entered in the Irish St Leger Group 1, by the way. So he should be straight enough, having made his stable debut over hurdles 5 weeks ago when he was only just beaten at Killarney over Timber. And they've got Ryan Moore on board, so he has to be respected. His fellow Irish raider is Zanderbad, who now runs under the name of trainer Catherine O'Leary, and that's because his usual trainer, Tony Martins, had his licence suspended for being a naughty boy. Zanderbad ran a fine race when he was beaten only a length in the Chester Cup last time. But, you know, as we saw when Gordon Elliott's licence was suspended and Denise Foster took over, it's not just a case of a change on the sheet. It's different people, different instructions in the yard. And that worries me, really. So I'd be against Zanderbad. The top weight is a horse I love called Pied Piper, trained by Gordon Elliott. A really likeable horse, dual purpose, very talented, just beaten in the county hurdle a couple of seasons ago. Second in the Cesarewitch last autumn. He'll stay. He's got a big weight, but he'll stay. And Elliott also runs in Darby, who was third in the Boodles juvenile hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival in March. Another big Irish hope is Jarlath Fahey's Boa Road, a horse improving in leaps and bounds and on a hat-trick after a really facile win at Killarney, beautiful Killarney, over 2 miles, 1 furlong last time out. And you may not know Jarlath Fahey very well, but he actually won this race back in 2016 with Jenny's Jewel. And he's a pretty shrewd cookie. And then Sir Mark Prescott, well, he's got a progressive stale on his hands in Pledge of Allegiance, who, if he sees out the extra half mile, will be a danger. And other British runners with chances include Kyle of Lochalsh, for Huey Morrison and Temporize for Sid Hosey, who are both in with a squeak. And so did the selection. And this is a horse whose price has been going all day. And I've been getting frustrated because the price is going while I've been waiting to come and pass on this message. Anyway, he's untried at this marathon distance, but I'm hopeful that Joseph O'Brien's Nusret, the mount of Dylan Brown McMonagle, who I think is going to be a champion jockey in Ireland before too long, I think this Nusret is going to go well. Now, he landed a 1.75 mile handicap at the Curragh last season, seemingly full of stamina, and then stayed on well to be beaten less than 5 lengths in the valuable Patingo handicap at Leopardstown over only 1.5 miles the time after. And to me, both in the win and in the subsequent run in the Patingo, he looked like he was crying out for at least 2 miles. So for me, it's been a little bit surprising, but who am I to question the brilliant Joseph O'Brien, that over hurdles he's not run much beyond 2 miles, which is sharp for a horse who I think stays at least 2 miles on the flat. I'm not surprised then now to see Joseph prepared to roll the dice over this much longer trip. And I think he could bring out the best in Nusret, who seems to have caught the eye of one or two others because he was available at 25 to 1 this morning. He's now down to 12 to 1. 16 to 1 has been taken again in the last hour. So Nusret is definitely a horse that is attracting the attention, it would seem, of the right kind of people. And although 12 to 1 isn't as good as 25 to 1, it's still a cracking price if he goes and wins. And that price is still available for 5 places at the time of this recording with 888, with Coral, and with Bet Victor. So hurry along before the price continues to tumble. They've now made Zanderbad favourite actually at 7 to 2. He's the one for money as My Leica is drifting. Anyway, that's it for day one. I'll be back with one or maybe two selections for day two. And as always, I'm looking forward to your company. Remember, if you want more selections for Royal Ascot, check out my Out in Front subscription service, which can be joined immediately by clicking on the link and signing up in the description box just below this screen. I hope you have a brilliant opening day at Royal Ascot. Bye-bye for now.